Spacey Sims, and we're back with more Cafe Enchante, and we are just starting Candace's chapter 3, so we probably have a couple more parts. I was like 2, maybe 3, I don't know, just to get the good ending, so we'll see. Here we go. That day, Karya Abe is visiting the GPM headquarters for his scheduled testing. The testing concluded without issue, and on the way home... Oh, look at Mikado.
Oh, I almost forgot, Karya. Are you going to Enchante after this?
That's the plan. Let me guess. Are you trying to make me get a sample from Miser and the gang again?
What do you mean again? You're making me sound like a mad scientist.
Well, that's like the only way I can see you.
I do want to study them too, but this time, I want you to hand this to Rindo.
What is this? A hard drive?
It's more information related to a Gadrasil. I just finished it a minute ago. There's a lot of crucial data in there, so please remember to hand it to him. But man, oh man, I never knew that the fairy world Medea was such a dangerous place. You should be careful whenever you visit.
Huh?
Alrighty, Koo. Now that I'm off work, let's go grab an early dinner. Let's see, which restaurant should we go to? Can't go wrong with a nice evening view.
Oh, hold on a sec. Mikado, what did you mean by that?
Are you curious? I don't blame you for a second.
In response to Karya's momentous inquiry, Mikado speaks up with agreement.
I'm sure you've already heard it from Rindo, but based on my analysis, it's been discovered that the world tree of the fairy world Medea originates from plant life on Earth.
The Sigillaria?
That is the species of the ancient tree a Gadrasil is closely related to.
There is a gnat in my house and it's driving in front of my TV and it's driving me bonkers. Anyway, the Sigillaria. Sigillaria? Hold on.
Itself has long been extinct, at least in the human world, but...
Sigillaria, also known as seal tree. Oh my god, and we have a uniseal. Giant tree said to have grown in ancient times. When its large leaves fall, they would leave hexagon or rhombus-shaped marks on the trunk resembling the sigil of a seal, thus giving it its name. Hold on. Sorry, Mikado's voice is making me cough. Or I just inhaled that fly. I don't know.
However, even in the present day, various related species still exist, so it's undoubtedly a human world plant. In other words, no matter how much it's changed due to the effects of the fairy world, the basic biological characteristics, receiving sunlight, conducting photosynthesis, and requiring nutrients from land and water, should be no different from regular plant life. In fact, no matter how we look at it, the Gadrasil leaves still fit within the definition of a plant. However, I've arrived at one problem. There are limits to how much a life can grow. One of the theories, the extinction of dinosaurs, explains the difficulty of nourishing their giant bodies. Then what about the world tree? Even if Medea has distorted its growth, it's hard to believe a world-engulfing plant can sustain itself with just water and sunlight. In which case, there's only one thing I can think of. A Gadrasil undoubtedly receives nutrition externally. If so, what does the world tree feed on, considering it sits at the top of the food chain in Medea? I think you get it now. That's right. Basically, the entire world of Medea, the home of the fairies, is probably a Gadrasil's feeding ground.
Can we go back and do the voice acting at the end? I really cannot wait to see what Mikado actually fucking sounds like. It's probably nowhere near as weird as I've made his voice, but anyway. It's been about a week since Candace shut me down at Medea and the day after the regulars helped me out. God damn it, fucking gnat, get away from me! Today is one of those rare days where no one's come to the cafe, so I'm in the backyard watering the plants. The showering water makes a rainbow. The colorful flowers that Candace usually waters. We're swaying lonesome, perhaps because he's not here. Having said that, what do you want to do? What do I want? The answer to Miser's question hasn't arrived after a whole day of thinking. There's so many feelings of uncertainty swirling around in my heart. The moment I try to make sense of them, they crumble away like sand. The answer's within my reach. The answer is right here inside of my heart. We're gonna take down the tree! Dun 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 dun! Oh, back to the CG. So, oh god, please do not interfere any further. At least, that is how Lord Soan was. This is like the 5th time we fucking said this line. Could you stop? I'll accept it this time because I didn't repeat it 14 times in a row. It's been like, a whole part, so whatever. Even so, I'm afraid of being rejected. Again. I tear up at my weakness and cowardice. When I was a child, there were so many things I wanted to do, and I was brave enough to express myself. But that strength, after graduating from school and working in a local company, and being crushed by the weight of reality, slowly disappeared. And before I realized it, I was surrounded by things I didn't want. Even though I tried to avoid them, I had forgotten my honest desires and wants of doing more. Should I stretch my back? For some reason doing that just made me yawn. That's right. Until I took over as the owner of Enchante, I didn't just end up here. This is the place I chose. My Enchante. I repeat the words Rindo mentioned. The more I think, the more I realize Grandpa and the regulars are why I chose this place. Even when I took over, everyone encouraged me. I finally was able to reach out and do what I truly wanted to do. Will I be able to reach out again? What I want to do. That is, I want to see Canis. Vocalizing my thoughts allow me to be honest with myself, but I just can't muster up the courage to broadcast these feelings to him. Pardon me. I want to see Canis. Well, I'll take Venia too, that's fine. Huh? Venia? Sorry to intrude. Since I was not greeted on entry, I took the liberty of walking around. I took walking alone. Sorry, did you say walking around alone? Walking around alone, sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear the doorbell ring. I know I'm a little late, but welcome. I'll be right there once I wash my hands, so go ahead and have a seat and... What's the matter? Nothing. I am simply impressed by this place. I guess this is the first time Benny has seen the backyard. While I watch his gently squinted gaze caress the flower bed, it feels as though I'm being praised. It's quite flattering. This flower bed is Canis's work. All of these flowers all came from here. Canis looks after all these flowers. It doesn't fit his face at all. And not that he has a face. That Canis. He does look a little intimidating, but he's actually very delicate and caring. When I first met him, I judged him based on his looks. But now I know that Canis is a very kind person. The fact that he tends to these flowers every day so they don't wither, and how the townsfolk rely on him a lot, and how the children look up to him, being able to mention any of those says a lot about his character. As I keep going on like this for a bit, Venia chuckles bitterly and squints. You've really observed Canis thoroughly. You think? Yes. You know more about him than my sister and I do, and we have spent centuries with him. That's not true. I was like, no, you're right, it's only been like 500 years. The words that just came out of my mouth... No, that is centuries, 100 years. Isn't it? Yeah, centuries, 100 years. I don't know why I was thinking like 1,000, but that's a millennia. Like, oh god, anyway. It's like, it's only been, no, right, it really has been centuries. Well, okay, just, look, we all have stupid moments, okay, but I caught mine pretty fast. Anyway, the words that just came out of my mouth sound somewhat timid, because the only Canis I know is the Canis that frequents this cafe. whatever he's going through is something I'm not allowed to get involved with. Having said that, I'm sure Venia won't understand what I'm talking about. But I can't stay silent about it. Venia's like, Then, it seems like Canis's rejection is getting to you, isn't it? Oh, is it? Huh? But that headless knight. Don't fear any further. There was probably a nicer way to say that. How do you know that? Could it be... Did Canis tell you? No, I was watching. The entire time. Even when you cried. Not paying any attention to my shock, Venia lowers his shoulders. You're too earnest. You take every word too seriously and straightforward. If you have some business with Canis, then you should ignore everything he says. In order to get something done, you must first act. Isn't that right? But it's not that easy. Acting without thinking will only... Well, would you rather keep things as they are and continue suffering? Venia's smart man. Those words, for some reason, sound like his temper is starting to seep out. Good grief. You, Canis, and sister are all so weird. You don't have the courage to change, and your fear of change keeps you frozen in place waiting for the courage. And before you can realize it, it's already too late. I know that staying inside my head forever won't solve anything. But if Canis doesn't want it, then I can't just ignore that. Why? Why is that so wrong? Huh? When you think about it, Canis's rejection was ultimately of his own accord. You can and should do the same. Isn't that all there is to it? Well, Venia's words are awfully selfish. They are, but I can't quite deny it either. At the very least, that's what I would do. You would? Even if the other person doesn't want you to, you would do what you want to do? Yes, that's what I intend to do. Even if the other person doesn't want me to, I know that I will continue on my own way. Even if they end up hating me, I will find a way to change their mind. I would want my significant other to be happy. Nothing comes close to that feeling. Even if society deems it a selfish act. Venia smiles. Unlike his usual sarcastic smile, it is rather gentle. I want Venia to fight for us. Can we get a fan disc where we can date Venia? Spacey, do you disagree? I agree. I agree. As I vocalize my thoughts, I feel as though it gave me courage. No matter how Canis feels about me, I want to make Canis smile. I can't stand seeing him not happy. Even though he's faceless, my feelings probably won't change. So, I want to see him. I want to see him and talk to him. Not as the owner of Enchante, as he wants me to be, but as myself, just ordinary Spacey. Canis, why did you push me away? I want to meet him face to face and hear him out. Once I vocalize my true feelings, the winds carry my words through the flowers. Venia, my only audience, applauds my small outburst. It's like a confession of love. And next time, please say that to Canis. Of Canis. Wow. Hey! Don't make fun of me! Anyhow, glad you finally made up your mind. Now let's get going. Where to? Huh? Were you even listening? To Medeo, of course. Come on, double time, as they say. What? Right now? Wait! I need some time to mentally prepare. No need for that. Plus, if I leave you here, you won't have the opportunity to go to Medeo until Karia visits the cafe. Oh, that's right. Your weak mind, when given the chance, will make you indecisive and dumb. You should act before you lose the gumption. Any objections? He's right, it will make us dumb, because we were told multiple times that he was the Fairy of Death. We still couldn't figure it out. I'm just saying. I can't object. It feels like I've been forced into all of this, but I decide to follow Venia's suggestion and start walking. In a rush, I change into my normal clothes and leave a note to the absent regulars announcing the cafe's temporary closure. Then we make our way to the fairy world. Off on a date with Venia! Just to piss Candace off when he shows up. He won't, but... They'd all run and be like, Candace, she's on a date with Venia! And he'd be like, what? And we'd be like, nah, I just said that to see if you were jealous. You are, you love me. Absolutely wouldn't do that. Not in real life to a real person, that's so mean, but... Just as I did the first time I visited, I follow behind Venia. But unlike my first trip... From here, we'll go around the roots. I suggest you don't look down. The road splits from here. Try not to get separated from me. What are you laughing about all of a sudden? What's so funny? Oh, nothing. It's nothing like that. It's just that, unlike last time, you're actually paying me some attention. You just feel like, compared to when we met, we've come a long way, you know? It's not like we're friends or anything. I just don't want you getting lost. His standoffish attitude doesn't change. Still, I think he's gone a little soft on me. Like, I'm just like, can we just talk about the fact that his, like he's... Seriously, I don't know if it's just me, but I just imagine under, like, his kind of dress thing going on here, that those are just, like, fucking, like, skin-tight fucking black pants with the strappies up the thighs, and that's just hot. I just can't keep seeing it. I'm like, are you showing me a lot of thigh? I mean, sure, you're wearing, like, a lycra suit under there. Could be leather, could be whatever. I don't know. But, like, it's just... He just, like, paints that on and then throws the other, like, his other tunic thing over it. But it's like, you're just showing me a lot of thigh, is all I'm saying. Like, every time I'm reading, I can just see it, because it's, like, right there, like, under the text box. And then I'm just like, those are, like... And then you got, like, some ties up there, like... Girl... Some fabulous thigh. Like, I'm just saying, he's just showing me a lot. Like, and I'm not complaining. Yeah. Even when Venia was so cold, I've been able to get closer. Even with when. So maybe I can with Candace, too. There's a lot of, like, double weird words in here. Like, right now. As I continue thinking of that, I suddenly notice something. Huh. Hey, Venia? Is something wrong? Is Amadeo awfully quiet today? Usually there are fairies flying around every which way. They would usually flock around me without having to say anything. But today, for some reason, not a single one. Suddenly the world jolts. And with a jerking motion, sounds of leaves shuffling against each other echo in the surrounding like breaking waves. What was that? Quiet. Stay calm. Eventually... I'm scared! I'm scared! I'm scared! I'm scared! We have to run! We have to! From the shaken branches, like a bird flying away, a lone fairy appears between the leaves and soars through the sky. Oh, the tree's gonna eat her. But in the fairy's path is a large, bulging branch. Oh god, I knew it! I'm like, we're gonna watch the tree killer. Oddly shaped in the form of a tentacle. Gross. It swallows the fairy whole. Huh? What just happened? Venia, what just happened? No need to make a fuss. I saw the same thing. Seeing it with my own eyes brings back bad memories. Bad memories? We can't dismiss the possibility that something similar will happen again. So try not to get separated from me. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee your safety. Wait! What's happening to Medeo? A flashback of the story Karia told me stops me in my tracks. But Venia shakes his head and continues walking without stopping. I will apologize for bringing you here without warning you of the dangers. But right now,
The world needs you as a reason for Canis to fight.
What do you mean? Are you kidnapping me? Chime me up a little. Venia, are you asking me to get in a cage? Because I might. Even though I ask for clarification, Venia doesn't answer me. All I can do for now is follow Venia, who suggests I'll find out sooner than later. Here we go. Thereafter, for better or worse, nothing unusual occurs. By the time Venia leads me to the Nexus, there is a cool crisp in the air. A cool crisp in the air as autumn falls upon us. Never really heard it phrased that way, but... Canis! Titania! The two, standing at the throne, gasp as they notice me. Spacey. What? What is the meaning of this? Why are you here?
Pretty obvious. I brought her here. Not very polite of you to grab like that. Aren't you a violent one, Canis? You brought her here? What were you thinking, Venia? You are fully aware of the current situation Medea was in, do you not?
You are fully aware, do you not? Okay, you get what he's saying, but like, dude, come on.
Of course. That's precisely why.
While shoving away Canis's grasping hands, Venia replies indifferently.
To be honest with you, I cannot stand watching you lately. I may not be the best fighter, but I can tell you aren't in the best headspace. I'm honestly surprised that you were intending to protect Medea in your current state.
Canis doesn't respond, as if to admit that Venia's words held some truth.
Spacey, I'll give you the details later, but right now, Medea is in danger.
Danger? Like what happened earlier? A quake that nearly shook the entire world. And immediately after that, a fairy was eaten by a Gadrasil.
That's right. Well, aren't you well-traveled? You catch on quick. In order to counteract the threat, we need Canis' strength. But he's being a real wimp. So, in order to snap Canis out of it, I brought you all the way here.
Venia lightly pushes my back and I stumble forward. How cute. Venia being a good-ass wingman. Canis. His expressionless helmet stares down at me. Oh, he's angry, though. This is not blushy. This is angry red. I've been dying to see him again and talk to him, but I don't know if I'm upset or disappointed. I can't find the words now that I'm here. We face each other in silence for a minute. It's like, it's really weird with an audience.
Canis, you know yourself and your problems better than anyone else. You've pushed me to this point. Just hurry up and get this all sorted already.
Venia says as he pushes on our backs. How cute. But he's like, for fuck's sake, make up and kiss! Leaving the worried Titania behind, he leads us away from the throne. The two of us walk the crimson tree. It sounds weird when you say it, like, walk the crimson tree. The crimson tree. What? But technically we are walking on a Gadrasil and it is a crimson tree. So it makes sense, but it just, you're like, wait, what? Sound like the crimson treed road, like, you know, because there's trees lining the road, you know? Or the crimson tree lined road. That's what you're expecting. We're supposed to. The crimson tree. Yeah, technically we're walking on the trees, I guess. This is awkward. Really awkward. If only the others were here, at least we'd have something to talk about. But when it's just the two of us, I struggle to put words together. And by the time Canis finally opens his mouth, the splashes of the waterfall softly hit us. I was shocked. Huh? That you would come here. Oh, I'm sorry for showing up all of a sudden. Well, that is one thing, but I was so intent on pushing you away, yet you still came back. Yeah, well... I figure Venia charmed you into thinking that something was wrong with me. And if so, I apologize. I will make sure he is punished for that. It is best you hurry back to the human. You're wrong. I softly interject as I search for the words to say to him. He said a lot of things, but they're not the only reasons. It was my decision to come here because I wanted to talk to you. I have nothing to say to you. I told you everything I will ever need to, and yet you're still pushing me away. God damn it, Nat! Get out of here! It's killing me! You are a human. You and I are different. You are not supposed to be here. So... But I do. I do. I have so much to tell you. So many words, so many feelings. I have so many, Candace. Every time a word leaves my mouth, Candace's flames wave. No matter how hard he tries to hide it, his body language says it all. Does that really need to be discussed right now? Once this is all over, and I, someday, can return to Enchante, will it be too late to wait till then? Yes. Right now, this fairy world of Medeo is facing a tremendous threat. We do not have the time to talk right now. You have already noticed on the way here, correct? Yes. I saw a fairy get eaten by a Gadrasil. And a long time ago, something similar happened, right? How do you... Did Venia tell you this? I shake my head in response. While you were absent from Enchante, the other patrons and I were curious about Medeo. Coincidentally, Karia came out to his parents regarding his identity and was researching his origins. And as we expected, one of his ancestors was a fairy. It was Karia's great-grandmother. Then, we all heard the stories that she would tell through word of mouth. That Medeo's world tree terrorizes fairies. And that the one keeping the world tree at bay is the one known as the World Tree Bride. That bride is referring to Titania, isn't it? There's a brief moment of silence. As if to show indecisiveness, the flames on his neck wave a few times. And finally, your view of the big picture is correct. However, that information is far outdated. The current World Tree Bride no longer has enough power to tame a Gadrasil, meaning that I, the Fairy of Death, must take responsibility of that role. By killing fairies and offering their... I thought we were saying that at first. Anyway, it makes more sense because I was like, how would we have put those... We couldn't figure out he was the Fairy of Death despite the fact that people told me multiple times, but we could put this together? It's because it's him saying it. Wow. By killing fairies and offering their souls to a Gadrasil. I mean, okay, so it's like a nice, peaceful fairy world. Well, fairies have the tiniest to kill. You're sacrificing... You're offering souls to the... Okay, now, this place sounds scary as fuck. Can we go back to Ignis's world with the crazy monsters? Because at least I knew what to expect there. Canis, while gazing at the waterfall mist, begins to talk quietly about the truths of the fairy world, Medeo, and a Gadrasil. Maybe that's why, hi, we learned in Thor, Gadrasil is the world tree and we're all connected, and that's why we die! We're sacrificing our souls to the fucking tree! Fuck you, tree, you suck! In the beginning, it started with one small seed. A seed brought from a foreign world was planted into the soil. God damn it! God damn it, world! It's the human world. We did this! Its compatibility with this world was good, or rather, it may have been too good. Immediately after it was planted, the tree grew at an alarming speed. It instantly surpassed the height of a human, covering the ground and reaching the skies. It swallowed the surrounding vegetation while incorporating various plants and flowers. Finally, it grew so big that it had covered the entirety of the world's surface. That is how a Gadrasil came to be. However, there was a side effect to becoming such a massive tree. A Gadrasil grew so big it became unable to sustain itself with only sunlight and water as energy sources. And then one day, the world tree began to consume fairies. It transformed its branches and roots into tentacles to attack the fairies and to devour them. None could escape them as long as they lived in Medeo. The very branches they stood on could turn into a threat in an instant. Other healthy fairies would find this concept of death confusing. Then, 1/3 of the population had been eaten. The fairies were overwhelmed with fear. As a last resort, a sacrifice was made to tame the World Tree.
World Tree! It was originally an ancient plant from the human world, Sigillaria, and mutated due to growing in a world other than its homeland. It grew too large, went out of control, and went to the top of the food chain, seeking fairies for nourishment. This is why you don't bring invasive species to other places!
That was the World Tree Bride. By connecting a sacrificial fairy to a device built as the nexus of a Yggdrasil, the fairy's soul will be used as an efficient source of nutrition. This tactic proved highly effective. With enough nutritional supply, Yggdrasil finally ceased its attacks. Thereafter, every time a bride's soul was completely consumed, a new bride was offered. And this is the self-sustaining system of Medio. That's right. The coveted title of Fairy Queen was created in order to disguise the ugly truth of sacrifice. It was merely a mask to cover up the fact that the World Tree Bride is a sacrifice.
This is actually kind of like an interesting twist. Like, oh, she's tethered to, she's a sacrifice and the tree's slowly eating her. Woo! I actually love twists like this. Like when you're reading them in books, you're like, oh, look, it's a happy world. Oh, okay. Oh, she's the princess. That's so lovely. And then she gets eaten. What? We send her off. We send oh, she's the one that was picked and we're going to send her to go live in the castle far, far away with the prince. It's going to be wonderful. But really, we shove her out of the gates and let the dragons eat her so that they don't eat us. It's just really what's happening. Like, and you're like, and then you learn the truth. You're like, what the fuck? Like, you know, every single time you pick up a book with some kind of a plot like that, you're like, you know there's going to be some kind of twist and bullshit like this. But you just don't know exactly what it is. And then you find out and you're like, you know? So I love things like this. You're like, oh, that's so fucked up. As long as we get my happy fucking ending in my Otome novel. That's all I'm saying. Anyway.
Of course, not all fairies supported the idea of this system of sacrifice. There were those who spoke out boldly against creating a world of sacrifices. However, those voices were quickly hushed by the tree. If all it takes is a single sacrifice, as long as they weren't chosen, it only makes sense to live this way. However, after a long history of sacrifices, there was one fairy that dared to change the world and waged war against Yggdrasil. The Fairy of Death, Banshee. The Fairy of Death that is born once in a generation. She is my predecessor. And the eldest sister of Venia and Titania, born at the same time and place as the two. After Titania took the queen's throne and offered her soul to the World Tree, she decided to fight for her younger sister and challenged Yggdrasil all on her own. What happened to Miss Banshee? The fact that I stand here today as her successor is the very answer. In other words,
the tree ate her!
Fuck, man. After the war that lasted 3 whole days, she was eaten and annihilated by Yggdrasil. Even with the power of the Fairy of Death, Yggdrasil, the world itself could not be defeated. Canis says as he looks up at the sky, as if he was talking about his own defeat. No way. She tried to save Titania and fought desperately, right? Even then... That's right. I cannot blame her for wanting to save her own sister. However, she was too thoughtless. She did not foresee what her recklessness in battle would bring to the world. Rather, it may have occurred to her, but in spite of it, she probably could not watch her sister be sacrificed without drawing her sword. And she was, in fact, defeated. Despite that, she left a deep wound in Yggdrasil, the result of which is the destruction of this dreadful system known as the World Tree Bride. Because of her attack, The throne was damaged and the bride was rendered dysfunctional. For example, Yggdrasil would normally extract 10 units of energy from the bride per month. However, after that incident, the damaged throne was clearly supplying less energy, which gives Titania a longer life. Compared to previously, the amount of energy it was able to extract plummeted to just 1 unit per month. In other words, from a certain perspective, Banshee's resistance was not in vain, but obviously, at this point Yggdrasil would not be satisfied with so little of the Queen's soul. That damaged world tree, in order to heal its wounds, instinctively, just as it ran rampant in ancient times, it began devouring fairies relentlessly. With my predecessor's death, I was born in the midst of it all. As I came into being, the first things I heard were the screams of the devoured fairies. I opened my eyes, and the first things I saw were... This is like so sad. The faces of the fairies drenched in despair. The fairy of death is born with some of the knowledge of past fairies of death. That was no exception for me. Without knowing for myself, but driven by the lingering memories, I gazed at the fleeting fairies, clenched my sword, and swung down. The memories were pleading with me that even if I fought Yggdrasil, it would be impossible to defeat it. If so, as a knight that protects Medeo, what am I to do? And the answer I arrived at was to kill fairies with my own hands. This is the role of the Fairy of Death. By killing fairies, we return their souls to the world. Rather than Yggdrasil devouring the fairies, it is far more efficient for my killing to make the necessary offerings. In other words, the more I kill with my own hands, the less casualties we have in the end. And thus I... Aww. So he does hate his job. Continued to cut down fairies. I had no time to choose. No time for my heart to fight reality. As soon as I was born, I stabbed, without a sense of my own will, without knowing what I wanted to do or what I should do, without anybody guiding me. I cut, and cut some more. Until the Yggdrasil was tamed, I kept killing fairies. I killed, and Yggdrasil ate. Eventually, when Yggdrasil became silent, nearly a tenth of the fairy population remained. This was the cost of finally satisfying Yggdrasil. But that was not the end of everything. Yggdrasil, though it entered into temporary dormancy, as long as the World Tree Bride was dysfunctional, Yggdrasil would one day awake.
World Tree Bride, another name for the Fairy Queen. A bride in name only. In reality, she offers her own life force to the World Tree to stop its rampage. In other words, one chosen to become sacrificed to provide the World Tree as nourishment.
And that's why, after discussing with Titania, I decided to continue killing fairies. I see a fairy, its death, and execute it. That is, my life as the Fairy of Death. All is for the protection of Medeo, to maintain peace in my home of Medeo. My words were cut off. A moment of silence ensued as if to process the tragic story. The spray from the waterfall splashed upon my cheek like a spray of blood. Do you understand, Spacey? And this is the price we pay for Banshee's reckless actions, the tragedy resulting from fighting fate.
Banshee, the predecessor of Canis as the Fairy of Death. She was the eldest sister to Titania and Venia.
Her genuine and kind desire to save her sister is no consolation at this point. Her actions at the end of the day brought forth about even more misfortune and death. There is no need for you to pity my destiny of killing fellow fairies for the entirety of my existence. All living beings have a purpose. It just so happens that this is mine.
Fairy of Death, a fairy that kills any being in the fairy world with the ability to return their soul to the world.
The greatest and only combat force in the fairy world. Only one exists in the fairy world, and inherits past memories and duties when a new one is born. And there was no need for you to resent or grieve. I may not have chosen to be born, but I have chosen my own path. And that's right. The one who chose this path is none other than myself. Canis Espada, 3. To protect the world from the World Tree going out of control, he killed countless fairies and returned them to the World Tree. He still prophesizes death and kills fairies regularly. A black knight who possesses a kind heart, yet burdened with a heavy task. Canis is satisfied with his decision. With such definitive statements, without having first-hand experience, I'm not able to say anything further. Even I don't want to swing this sword to kill the weak. I want to use it to protect my loved ones. But this is the only thing I can do right now. Swing it at the damn tree. He speaks quietly. You know what? All we have to do is get some fucking weed killer and kill this motherfucking weed. Canis, this kind knight, is trying to fulfill his role and is accepting reality for what it is. His strength is admirable, yet somewhat dangerous. I actually did not intend to tell you this much, but I told you anyway, out of respect for you coming all this way, out of concern for me. Oh no, it's not concern, I love you! What? Canis squares back up with me. Then, he gently touches my tear-covered cheek. And those eyes. Sympathy, compassion, and sorrow. I never want you, of all people, to look at me with such eyes. As you are my beacon of comfort, I never wanted to make you feel this way. Oh my god, that's so cute. And there's no way for me to find out what sort of emotions were in Canis's eyes as he tells me these things. Whether he's crying, or grieving, or in pain. Without knowing any of it, I wanted to see you at that quaint cafe as usual. And you welcomed me in with nothing but your bright, gentle eyes. However, now that you know everything, that dream may never come true. I always thought of Canis as a gentle person. He loves flowers and protects the weak, a person that will always lend a hand. I've always believed that. Unfortunately, he's been in a shitty position and he's doing the lesser of two evils. Like, okay, well, I could not kinda keep the tree quiet, or I could just let the tree kill everyone. You know? That's probably why I was so shocked to see him cutting down a fairy that day. Again, despite the fact that we knew he was the Fairy of Death. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe it was an imposter, because it just didn't match up with the person I knew very well. But I was mistaken. I place my trembling palm over Canis's hand that touches my cheek. The gentle hand that cares for the flower bed is also a powerful hand that wields a sword. What I see is both versions of Canis, all of him. I don't intend to hold anything against you, but let me just say one thing. The inherent kindness in the mission given at his birth. The Doulahan that carries this contradiction gazes deeply at me with invisible eyes. Spacey, why have you come here? Because... why have you not chosen to stay out of this and wait for me at the cafe? Why must you know? Why must you know? Oh. Yeah, I was like, why must you know about me now? You know, I get it, okay. He sounded neither angry or accusatory. Rather, his tone suggested that he has lost something dear to him. Because he thinks we're going to think of him differently. Like, why must you know what a monster I am? It's like, you're not a monster. Like, I mean, you don't have a head, so that's a little fucking weird. But, like, we've known that from the beginning. Like, I quietly clear my throat in order to respond to him. I was worried about you. At the end of my internal debate, I was worried about you. What came out of my mouth was my own honest feeling. Worried? According to me, you're an important person. No matter what you say to me, I will worry about you, Canis. I understand why you have come. I am pleased to hear and appreciate the fact that you came here thinking of me. But still, What I desire of you is only one thing. Is one thing only, sorry. What is that? I want you to wait for me at Enchante, wearing that same smile for the day I return. And that is all. Just a smile? It's gonna be really weird if everybody walks into the cafe and I'm naked and he's like, woo! Passes out. Alright guys, let's drag him back! I ask for nothing else. No. No, I'm staying here and we're gonna kill this fucking tree. Is that really what you want from me? Isn't that what you want from Enchante? Candace shuts up as if he was called out. Girl! And I, as if to press him further, take a step forward to close our distance. Oh! She's like, God damn it. Just admit you love me. Oh! Being bold. Like a mirror image to his wiping my tears earlier. I gently reach both my hands to the cheek area of his helmet. Canis. Gently, I move my hands that are placed at his cheek. CG? The helmet that was covering Canis's face. The helmet that Grandpa once told me to try on. Fell to the ground and made a dry sound. Sort of a CG. Not exactly, but look. Look at me, Canis Espada. What are you? Shut up and look at me. Look with your own eyes at who's standing in front of you. You've told me once that humans and non-humans are different, that I should face that reality. And I did, ever since the day you told me. You are non-human and I am a human. You're the customer and I'm the owner. There's definitely a separator between us. So when you rejected me, I kept thinking about it. During that period, I'd caused a lot of trouble for the regulars. I couldn't focus on my job and I made them worry about me, but I decided to come see you after some thinking, and then some more thinking. Out of my own selfishness, out of my own will, regardless of human or non-human, I wanted to come see you on my own. That's why I'm here now, looking at you. So, please, look at me too, Canis. He's like, I don't know how to do this. Oh, look, now we get the CG. I mean, that was sort of a CG, but now this is a better one. I like how we're like holding his non-face. It's the weirdest thing. It's like so cute and romantic, but I can't help feeling that it's lacking a little just because I like the fact that he's a headless knight, because you're like, that's cool. We've never seen that before. I mean, you know, but then it's like, but he doesn't have a face and it makes it a little bit awkward and strange and it kind of leaves me a little wanting. You know what I mean? But don't look away. I am not my grandfather. I am not So Anawaki. I mean, I hope not, because otherwise, I mean, I am the owner of Enchante. Spacey Owaki. Look at me! For Canis, Grandpa's Enchante was a very important place. He grieved his death, enough to long for a replacement. Spacey Owaki, are you telling me to face reality? As the fairy killer feared and shunned by the occupants of Medio, and that the sanctuary I've finally reached no longer exists. You are telling me to face this reality through these invisible eyes. That's right. Grandpa's cafe no longer exists. Aside from Titania and Venia, Canis is feared by many of the fairies. As sure as flowers bloom in the morning, or the afternoon sunshine, or the colors of trees at sundown, or the night air chill. As the savior knight of the world, he spent his days alone, carrying his sword. Confronting such a person with reality may be cruel, but I still need to say this. In order for him to acknowledge me, I'm not my grandfather. As much as I want to carry on his wishes, I don't think I can fully encompass him. That's why I need you to accept me. The evolution of Enchante. Me and my cafe. Spacey. This would be the perfect moment for a kiss, but I mean, how do you do that with a headless boyfriend? Anyway, I let go of his hand. You weren't holding his hand, you were holding his face! I'm confused, but anyway. But if I do so too brazenly, I'm afraid I'll disappear. Without stepping away from him, I place my cheek on his chest and softly speak to him. I want you to come to the cafe. I want you to come back. Not to a place where you have to hide. but a place where you can be yourself. I want to be with you where you belong. He's like, what? Silence ensues for a while. He's frozen. All we can hear is the sound of the waterfall drifting between him and I. How pitiful of me. Who am I to laugh at Ignis when he first met you? Spacey is right. Ignis, you need not accept everything. It is not even settled within myself. I still see Soon's shadow on occasion. For now, we should see them as different owners. Soon as Soon, and Spacey as Spacey. I never would have thought that person who was most particular about that cafe was myself. Canis places his hand on my shoulders and stares at me with such an intensity. I guess you're guessing because of his flames, because you can't really tell intensity otherwise. I'm just saying. You are bound to what it means to be the owner of Enchante. And I have always been oblivious to everything. As Spacey and Lord Soon are so different. Without breaking eye contact, how? He doesn't have any eyes! Stop it, game. He looks straight at me. Are we that different? Yes, very different. Lord Soon stood like a grand tree, carrying a deep, unwavering profoundness. Spacey, you are like a single flower, catching the eyes of all and easing souls. You possess such gentleness. Yeah, that was a little too much to take in, but... You had different takes on cafe ownership. Lord Soon was extremely loose. He decided the prices for all kinds of items in the moments based on the mood. You, on the other hand, care a great deal and your menu is very detailed. That's probably the normal thing to do as an owner. I can't help but let out a chuckle. Canis and I smile faintly. Canis and I finally smile. Wow. Canis and I finally smile at each other, and our smiles continue to grow. How can you tell he doesn't... Game. And because of the difference in gender, there is a clear difference in your beauty. Compared to Lord Soon, Spacey is much more slender and soft, and everything you do is lovable. You're like... Were you saying some things my grandpa did were lovable? That's a little weird. Yes, you are adorable. Wait. Is this really that necessary right now? You came here and basically put the moves on him first, and you're wondering why he's confessing to you? Girl. Of course. You are the one that told me to see your differences clearly, Spacey. I did, but... What else? Let's see. I can feel Canis's gaze. It's like the time when he pretended to be asleep. It's kind of like, he's like... She's like hitting at me, and then it's like, we should see our differences, and he's like, oh, okay. And now he's giving it back to us. We made him slightly embarrassed, I'm sure, with that. He was probably like, what? But he's a lot more serious now, and oozing some sort of emotion. Love. Canis? It's a little embarrassing to be stared at like this. Maybe that's enough for now. I refuse. Your adorable features, your beautiful eyes, your deep compassion and strong conviction. How did I not notice this? And I looked at you as a human being. You're so different, yet... I wonder if Canis realizes how much he's embarrassing himself. Nah. And that I'm blushing at each one of his words. There was a gentleness about Lord Soon's Enchante, which always felt like an embrace. Spacey, your Enchante has an intimacy that makes us care for each other. Of course, these are things that I cannot compare and say which is better, but... Canis looks at me from a very close distance. His breath nearly touches me as he talks. Regardless, I love your cafe. Okay. I love... Oh, your cafe. Oh, yeah! Okay, good. No. Maybe I just never realized it. Maybe I've loved it from the very beginning. His face draws near. A subtle warmth touches my cheek. Perhaps this is because he's softly placing his cheek onto mine. Oh, it's kind of cute. What I can say with certainty is that spending time with you at Enchante is the most important thing to me. I want to protect those days. I would never want to lose those days. I do not know what will become of Medeo in the future, but I will return to your cafe. I promise. Yes. I'll help you, and I'm sure everyone else will as well. Miser, Il, Ignis, Rindo, Caria, even Cordodo. With all of us together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. Let's burn this fucker down! Yes, you are correct. I cannot wait to be back at the cafe. My beloved Enchante. I feel like I love your cafe. My beloved Enchante. When you say you love the cafe and Enchante, you're talking about me, right? Because after thinking of Enchante, which he's not visited in a while, Candace slightly pulls away from me, quietly looks up at the sky, and starts to speak. I love the sound of that ringing doorbell when I walk inside. And I love the sound of your voice that welcomes me immediately afterward. And the front entrance, decorated with the flowers that I had nurtured and you picked out. Candace's thoughts keep spewing from his mouth. So much love. Those words tickled me a little, but they're very gentle, and I love them too. And needless to say, I love the usual espresso that you brew, and, of course, I love you too. Oh, because he's saying all these things he loves. You're like, by default, you love me too. Okay, there you said it. That's so cute. Huh? And now he's all embarrassed because he's like, this, and of course I love you too. What? What? Candace tries to stop the words that spill out by covering the area where his mouth should be. That's fucking adorable. But his actions further prove that what I just heard wasn't a mistake. Yeah, because now he's all embarrassed. No, that was just a natural... natural? I suddenly hear my heart beat loudly. My breathing and train of thought halt. Only the sound of my beating heart. I can't see his face. However, I can understand how Candace feels right now, and painfully so. They're both awkwardly embarrassed. I love it. Candace, will you say something? Sure. This silence is not doing us any good. We will talk about the weather, okay? Because, undoubtedly, whatever's inside his chest must be the exact same warm feeling that I have. Are you done talking? He's like, Venia's like, for fuck's sake, just tell him you love him too. Venia, how long have you been there? Venia's like, fucking love Venia so fucking much. Well, I don't mind telling you, but the answer will only bring you grief. I came to Medea with such determination, yet my face turned so red out of embarrassment that I want to run back home instantly. Let's try to forget how long I've been watching you two. Personally, I'd give you an applause for all of that. Why an applause? Medea laughs bitterly at my piercing eyes, then breaks into a light smile. And no, really, from the bottom of my heart, as far as I know, I've never seen Candace like this. As a friend, I'm honestly a little happy. Candace and I face each other subconsciously in response to his words. I am surprised. I never thought I would ever hear such words come from your mouth. Just as you tried to change yourself, so did I. That's all. Venia's smiling face was much more beautiful than his usual stern, cold look. I mean, I don't know, his bitch face is gorgeous too, like, Venia's just gorgeous. Spacey, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're the owner of Enchante. But... right. Change. You must change. Venia? Venia's expression changes. His eyes are filled with sorrow. You're not gonna, like, feed me to the tree to get Candace to fight, are you, Venia? Before I can ask him what's going on, he turns away from us and begins to walk. I'm concerned. Afterwards, he says he needs to check on the area that was gouged out of Yggdrasil for any abnormalities. After parting ways with Canis, I accompany Venia and return to Titania. I tell her that I heard everything regarding what happened to the fairy world Medeo. I tell her of my conversation with Canis.
I see. You found out the truth about this fairy world Medeo.
Titania takes a small sigh and nods with glazed eyes.
The death of fairies is the price we pay. I kept it under wraps from you, thinking you had no reason to know.
I should have stopped before we got here, but whoops, sorry.
But I've heard that because of it, you and Canis had a falling out. All I can honestly say is, I'm sorry.
I literally just checked the time and was like, fuck, we're over! We should have stopped right as we transitioned to this, but it's okay. I was just being nosy. There's no need for you to apologize. In response to Titania's lowered head, I wave my hand with a strong conviction. She's right, sister. You have absolutely no need to apologize. Or rather, I believe you should be thanked.
What? It sounds like there's more to this. Spacey, do you know the meaning of this?
What? I wonder what he's talking about. Venia smirks. No matter how I look at it, he must be referring to my talk with Canis. But that wasn't something worth telling everyone, so I decided to pretend to be ignorant. Besides, right now, we should be thinking about how to face the dangers Medeo is threatened with. More importantly, Titania, Venia, about the problems Medeo is facing. Is there any way that the people of Enchante and I can help in any capacity?
Spacey!
Canis is a very important person to both me and Enchante. If he is in trouble, we want to be of help. Plus, Titania, Venia, simply as your friends, if there's anything I can do, I want to contribute to your cause. Venia's like, good, feed the train! I'm just waiting for the game to backstab me, okay? Having said that, I don't have any powers, so there's not much I can do.
Thank you, my friend from another world, for caring so much about ours.
It'll be okay. My regular customers are all extremely powerful. With everyone here, we should be able to find a way to tame Yggdrasil.
Yes, you're right. There's no point in being in despair forever. We can grieve when we're out of options. In that case, I hate to rely on you for everything, but...
Please go rally up everyone at Enchante. Oh, wait a second. What was supposed to be the rest of Titania's thought is gently cut off by Venia's voice.
Mia? What's the matter?
He's facing down, looking somewhat tormented, and the words that followed did sound rather painful. Would gathering everyone from Enchante truly stop Yggdrasil's terror and fairy eating? I don't know for sure yet, but...
However, there has to be some sort of way.
Venia quietly shakes his head in response to our words. Your uncertainty will not do. It must be certain, absolute, at all costs. In order to eliminate the terror facing us, we must not have the slightest doubt. And no matter how powerful our team, there's no absolute guarantee. I cannot back any idea other than my own. Your own? And as if to respond to my muttering, he positions himself between me and Titania, oh god, and stares me dead in the eyes. Spacey, let me ask you once and for all. Will you save this world? Will you save my sister? Not if you're going to sacrifice me. Even if it may be a treacherous path. Even if it may be a path of sacrifice. His eyes are unwavering. I'm very concerned. Though I don't know its true meaning, it's clear that he wants to save Titania and change this world of his. So, with uncompromising determination, I respond to him. I want to. I will save this world. It may sound naive, but I believe in Canis and the people of Enchante. So, despite the sacrifices you're referring to, I want to save them. Spacey, I see. Your endlessly soft-hearted nature is just like Canis and suits you well. I'll take that as a compliment. I was really concerned. I'm not even going to lie. He extends his right hand for a handshake. I smile and take his hand. Oh god. I'm sorry, Spacey. In an instant... Ah, fuck! God damn it! When he stood in between, I was like, no, 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 no. And then he was like, okay. And I was like, okay, this is... Damn it! I knew this was coming, and I just didn't want to believe it. Venia, why would you do this? You son of a bitch! I loved you! With a snap of Venia's finger, he pulls Titania out from behind him, and as a replacement, I am thrown into the empty throne. And before I can realize the truth, a horrific sensation as terrifying tentacles entangle me relentlessly from all sides of the throne. Huh? Spacey! Spacey! I have no clue what just happened. A pale-faced Titania tries to run toward me, but Venia grabs her arm tightly and never lets go. What did you do, Nia? Let me go! Spacey is...
Get back, sister. If you get close, you'll soil the plan.
Plan? Are you the one that released me? A human being would never be able to replace the World Tree Bride! This won't solve anything! You... Don't tell me...
Being siblings is rather inconvenient. My intentions are revealed a bit too quickly for my taste.
Shaken by an ever-violent quake, Venia, with his usual expressionless face, speaks quietly. We were nice to you! We loved you! I'm so upset about this!
At this rate, Spacey will definitely die. In which case, he will surely come save you, will he not? No, they will. That's right. They'll do whatever they can to save you, even if it's them against the world.
We would have done that for Titania, though, without you being a dick, Venia, for fuck's sake!
And they will surely destroy this absurd world. They'll kill this disgusting world tree, so that we shall never again need to make these sickening sacrifices.
Again, we would have done that if you had asked us without putting me in the spot. Nia! How could you? Spacey!
Yes, yes, scream to your heart's content, Spacey, so that it will reach Canis and Enchante. Canis, as the Fairy of Death, has been cutting down the buds of terror. However, merely removing the buds will never kill any tree. One must cut the trunk and sever the roots. That's all I want for him to do.
Venia smiles again. We're way over time, but as if to hide the pain, the torment, and the conflict, with the same face that called him a friend.
I believe in him, that he will kill Yggdrasil in order to save her.
Okay, that's the perfect place to stop. But holy fucking shit! I saw this. When he's like, would you do anything? It's like, oh god, he gonna sacrifice us to the tree, and then it's like, no, everything will be... I was so worried, and I was like, no, everything's gonna be okay. I shouldn't be so negative. Like, Venia's our friend, right, Venia? What did you do? God damn it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here, even though now you're seeing all this. So anyway. Oh my god! And we're gonna continue in the next part, so... I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.